Yo, what up, world? 502 King Paul coming to y'all with another video, man. Straight to the chase. Title of this video, subject of this video is why I first started smoking weed. And then how I got hooked smoking weed. Now, if you've followed this channel for any length of time, man, you know I have been smoking for over a decade. Smoking weed specifically for over a decade, man. And I'm going to just tell y'all, it's been a long journey. It's been over 2 years now. I really can't even pinpoint exactly how long it's been at this point. Maybe about 2.5 years. I'm not exactly sure that I have not smoked weed at all, man. And it's changed my life in ways that I can't even start to explain in this video because it's not the purpose of this video. But I'm going to tell y'all how I started smoking weed. So make it a long story short, and then I'm going to go back and make it a long story. Not too long, hopefully. But, man, I started smoking weed because I was just trying to be grown. I was just a kid who always was getting in trouble, man. Had a pretty good upbringing, you know, as far as my parents, man. My parents weren't together or nothing like that, but they even though they were apart, they always did their best to raise me up in the right way. I was just one of those kids that, you know, was a little troubled and always found the wrong crowd to hang out with, man. My whole life, I just found the wrong crowd to hang out with at every step of the way. It started very young. You know, I was one of them kids, man. I was just bad, man. Just bad, mischievous. Always very smart, very intelligent. But just always get caught up in, you know, put myself in the wrong situations. You know, I got kicked out of daycare before I even made it to elementary school. Kicked out of elementary school. Went to another elementary school where I finished up my time. Got in trouble, got in fights and all that stuff the whole time I was there. Went to middle school, you know, showed my butt there too, man. Got into it, just getting into it with teachers, just breaking the rules, doing stuff I had no business doing. Got moved to another middle school. Got into it there with another dude who I was actually cool with, man. But things kind of went sideways, and you know, I'm getting in trouble there too. Man, I'm getting just kicked out of schools left and right. I went on to another middle school where I would finish up, and then I went to my high school where that was a whole nother thing. But I stayed there all 4 years, man. Only school I stayed at the entire time was my high school. But I say all this to say, man, I was just always trying to be grown. Always trying to be grown, and not in the good ways. And, you know, growing up, I didn't have any brothers. You know, I have a stepsister, but I didn't have any brothers. I didn't have, you know, my stepsister came along a little bit. You know, I was still fairly young, but a little bit later on, I'd already, you know, just gotten used to not having any real siblings like that, man. So, you know, I always looked up to my big cousins. And, you know, I got a lot of good, you know, I have a lot of cousins. So my father's side of the family is, you know, he has 10 brothers and sisters, not including him. And then he has, you know, it's a bunch of, so all of them have kids, and their kids have kids. So I have a really big family, a whole lot of cousins, man. I always looked up to my cousins. So whatever they would do, I wanted to do. I remember being little and seeing one of my cousins, they call it freaking the black. I don't know, because some places they don't even smoke Black and Milds, but it's where you take the filter paper out of the Black and Mild, man, put the tobacco back in there, and you smoke it like that. But I was just fascinated. My mind was always fascinated. I was, you know, I look back at it on the positive side of it, man. I was always intrigued, always trying to learn, always trying to, you know, just do like the grown folks was doing, like the people who were older than me that I looked up to. I wanted to watch them and learn them and pick up game from them and pick up different things from them. So, you know, I remember that intriguing me at a very young age. And then, you know, I would also, you know, as time went on, this was around middle school, man, I was watching my cousins, you know, they would be smoking, they'd be smoking weed. They'd be smoking weed, man. I see, you know, they parents smoking. I would see weed around me all the time. And, you know, and I was intrigued by that. And to me, it was like, you know, I looked up to my cousins and got all the girls, and, you know, they got the money back then, and they got this and that. So, you know, I'm watching them. I'm lightweight idolizing them. I'm lightweight idolizing these people. And, you know, so I decided, okay, one day I'm with them. I said, you know what? I'm going to be grown. I'm going to be grown. I'm about to try this out for myself. So, you know, I was with a couple of my cousins. They was over somebody else's house. It didn't happen at their house. So it was over one of their friends' house who was adult. One of my cousins was much older. One of them was a little bit older. And, you know, we went over there and somebody rolled up some weed, man. And I remember just sitting there and smoking a little bit. I didn't smoke a lot. I didn't know what I was doing. I couldn't even tell you how to inhale or none of that stuff, man. But I remember smoking a little bit and just kind of sitting there and listening to the fan in the background. And I kind of liked the feeling a little bit. And they was playing some music. But, you know, it wasn't, I wouldn't smoke again for quite a while after that. It wasn't something that I picked up and I was just hooked instantly and all that. I was just like, okay, I did it. I know I shouldn't have did it. I did it. And, I don't think I'm going to be doing it again anytime soon. That's just how I feel. There was no need for me to get into it. You know, a couple years later, I got into sports, started, you know, playing football for my high school, doing track and all that stuff, man. So, you know, I really just stayed away from all that stuff. But it wasn't until I got to college. We're going to get on to how I got hooked on it. So when I got to college, man, I'm out of town. I'm out of town going to the University of Kentucky. And, you know, and it was just like a whole new world to me because Louisville, which is up the road from Lexington, if you're not familiar with how Kentucky's laid out, man, Louisville's the biggest city in Kentucky. It's like a whole separate state, really, but it's in Kentucky. And it's, you know, it's a big city, man. And I knew my way around Louisville. I knew how to move around Louisville. I knew how to get money around Louisville. I knew all the women around Louisville. I knew all the dudes around Louisville. Like, I was solidified. I was, you know, I felt comfortable inside of Louisville. And when I went to UK, which is just about about an hour away from Louisville in Lexington, man, my whole life changed. It was like I was displaced. I was like, man, I don't know how to, these are not the friends that I normally hang out with. These are not the things that I normally do. I don't really know how to fit in. You know, I remember getting up there and, you know, and just I just felt out of place. It was like culture shock. I went from a school where, you know, it was 98% African Americans, or people of color, I should say, people of color, and, you know, 2% white to primarily white university. UK is majority at the time. You know, I don't know what the demographics are now, but they was just needing black people to come down to UK because they'd already gotten into some stuff before where they was, you know, kind of seeming like they were racist, biased, not having enough black people down there. So they were ushering a lot of black people to first start really coming in around the time that I went back in 2009. And I'm gonna tell you, man, like, you know, to see, you know, my life, you know, I was always happy with my life. I was always happy with the things that I had. You know, I was happy with how I was living. But it was culture shock for me, man. It's the first time that I saw, like, people who are my age, children, really looking back on it. Because even, like, right now, man, I'm 32 years old. If an 18-year-old, to me, is like a kid. I know it's technically an adult in the eyes of the law and all that stuff, but to me, it's like a little kid. I look back on myself during that time, it's a little kid, man. I don't care what your situation is. You're living by yourself. You're taking care of yourself, whatever. You still have a childish mind at that point. So you know, as grown as I thought that I was, as a childish man, you know, and I'm going down here, man, and I'm seeing that, you know, kids around my age, you know, they pulling up in brand new BMWs, pulling up in brand new Audis and Range Rovers and all that stuff. And like, these are things that mommy and daddy bought them. You know, so for the first time in my life, I felt like I was at a disadvantage. You know, I'd always been flying, always had, you know, some type of, you know, transportation or something. Like, I always was doing good in my own world, but when I got exposed to, man, this is how people are really living, I kind of went into depression, man. I'm like, you know, it wasn't just that. It was the fact I was up there not getting any money for real. You know, being a broke college student, it was just something I was not used to. This was something that it was really putting me through it, man, to go through that. And then, you know, being away from home, being away from my roots, being down there, and like I said, you're around a totally different crowd of people. I had people from my high school that went up there too, and we got together, but it's a whole new environment, man. And then just realizing, okay, I'm really at a disadvantage. These kids, you know, and I love all people, all shapes, sizes, colors, and all that, man. But I'm gonna tell you that, you know, realizing, I was like, man, a lot of these white students up here, man, they coming up here and they come from money, and I'm coming from nothing, and I got to build. I'm the first person inside of my family, period. First person that goes to a university and enter into a college, man. So, you know, it was like, you know, I was breaking that generational trend that had happened over and over and over again throughout my life. You got to realize that we're not too many centuries away from slavery. So, you know, to even be able to be in this situation was a blessing. But I'm like, man, I'm really realizing that this is the world that I'm in right now. So, you know, it went from, you know, smoking weed here and there. Because like I said, man, I really, after that first time, I really didn't smoke like that much, you know, every now and then, whatever, you know, running around with the little, you know, little hood dudes and all that stuff, man. We running around and, you know, you might every now and then hit the blunt, but it wasn't nothing like I'm buying weed to smoke. I was always a hustler. I was always selling stuff, doing stuff, man. I was never the consumer to where I'm buying things. And you know, when we went up to UK, it started to turn from something that you just did every now and then as a pastime to now this is what we're doing all day, every day. We up here in this little country town. No offense to Lexington, man, but it is like a country town compared to Louisville. We up here in this country town, really don't have nothing to do besides go to school. So all day outside of school, man, we just smoking, playing video games. You know, and then it went from the, you know, doing that every day to now, okay, now I'm waking up smoking. And then I'm smoking all throughout my day. I got to go to sleep. I got to smoke before I go to sleep. And it became a habit. It became something that now, you know, it went from something that's just a pastime to now I'm just doing this just to be doing it, man. I didn't have no real routine, no real regimen, no schedule, no itinerary at that age, man. And in my situation, my life wasn't set up that way. And I'm kind of jealous of the people who, the first time that they smoked weed, they had like some horrible experience where they just started tweaking and like really just, you know, had a panic attack or whatever. I know it sounds crazy. I said it, I'm jealous, but those people tend, you know, they don't smoke ever again. You know, my experience was so mild that, and I never had that panic attack feeling. I never had like the paranoia, any of that stuff early on. Early on is the key words. I never had all that early on, so I was just taking it very lightly, you know, and just using it and abusing it. But that's how I ended up getting hooked on it, man. And it lasted for a really long time, man. It lasted for a long time, and I'm not knocking. I'm never knocking nobody, man. I got friends, I got family that smoke weed. They smoke weed around me. I'm cool. I don't judge them. They do what they do. I do what I do. I know for me personally, every time somebody asks me, hey, well, how come you stopped smoking weed, man? It just didn't work for me. It just didn't work for me. And all of them say that's a good thing. You know, they're going to continue to do what they do, but they know it's a good thing, man. I just decided, I mean, if nothing else, hey, I'm not putting this inside of my lungs. I can go and pee if I need to go do a piss test for a job, or, you know, God forbid something happened to me legally, you know, and they test me. I would never have none of that stuff inside my system, man. So it's a blessing. It's a blessing. I had to really do a lot of growing up. In the process, man, of me stopping, I had to realize, okay, man, like, all right, you got to get you a real routine down. You got to get you a real schedule down, man. You really got to start planning out your days. You got to start having something to do. Like, I was working the whole time. Work wasn't the issue, and I was promoting up, and I was doing, you know, multiple jobs and hustles and different things all throughout that time period. But the thing is, man, how much further could I have been if I wasn't eating away so much of my day with smoking weed all the time, man? I'm putting this video out because I know somewhere it's going to be a child watching this video. It's going to be a child that's same age I was, 12, 13, you know, and then, you know, it's going to be some high school kids watching this, man. I've heard people tell me they having problems with their kids smoking weed. You know, their kids in high school, and they keep on catching them smoking weed over and over again. And I'm telling you, man, you just got to add structure to it. If people are smoking weed all day, every day, that means you're not doing enough in other areas of your life, man, because you shouldn't have enough time to do nothing all day, every day. I don't care if it's a video game. I don't care if it's working out. I don't care if it's something, you know, something positive. You don't have all day long to do that when you own your business and own your purpose, man. So I'm just putting out this video. Hopefully it's motivational, inspirational, educational for the younger ones watching this, man. 502 King Power. Till next time, I love y'all. Y'all stay blessed. I'm out of here.